Hey guys, B Twice here. Today is Friday, August 13th. Hope everybody had a really good trading week. Today we're going to be going over two stocks I think provide a quality setup here in these upcoming weeks, one of which that has earnings. So we're going to go ahead and start off with Workday. Um, so basically what I'm seeing is that Workday has peaked at all-time highs for a cycle wave 3. Since then, what we've seen is a very common WXY correction for our wave 4 that took us down to bottoming right at about the 38.2% retracement, which is very, very common for wave 4 bottoms. Um, so now with that being said, now that I think this wave 4 bottom is in, why am I bullish on the stock? So it's basically been in this uptrend since September of 2020. It has not broken it. It's gone beneath this trend line a couple times, but ultimately it's always rallied back above it. So very, very strong support on this uptrend line. And it looks like we're about to break the downtrend line coming from all-time highs. So that's why I think as long as we can break this strong support, right now there's strong support at 237. If we can break above that, it should be off to the races. So where do I think this is going? So far I think we've popped it for one, we pulled back for a two, and now we're working on trying to break out. And when I think we break out, what I think is going to end up happening is we're going to hit this resistance as we break out. It looks like we hit it today. I expect us to possibly pull back a little bit at the beginning of next week and then ultimately try to go back above this trend line. I think we'll go back up, get rejected, come back down, retest the trend line, and then when that happens, I think it's going to be off the races. I do think that we're in a buy zone now and that any dip on workday is a buy. But where do I think this is going? I do think once we do break out, we're likely going to be hitting the 270 range for our wave 3 price target. It could take a month or two to hit there, depending on how good earnings is. If earnings is very good, which is in 2 weeks from now, I believe, then it could send it to 270 in the short term. So I am bullish on Workday overall. But what you want to, if you're going to play this position, what you really want to watch is this down or is this uptrend line. If we break below this uptrend line and close beneath it, that's not very good. I mean, if we're just a tiny bit beneath it, that's not the end of the world. But if we really break it, then I would definitely use that as a stop loss. So levels to watch is this uptrend line, and then obviously we're going to be watching for this breakout. One way to trade it, which a lot of times what the professionals will do, is they don't get in before the breakout. They'll wait for the breakout above, and then they'll buy the retest. Because a lot of times when you break out of a downtrend, the stock will come back down and come back and touch the trend line. So it'll break above and then it'll come back and retest. And a lot of times what they do is they buy that retest. So that's why I kind of drew this line because I think that's probably what's going to happen is we'll break out, come back, retest, and then it'll be off to the races. All right, the second one is kind of more of a risky play because it's an airline play. But I saw some counts on this earlier in the week, so I figured I would go through it and take a look at it to see if I could add some trend lines, to see if I could see some levels that maybe I think I would develop a position based off of, just because the Delta variant is pretty rampant right now. So airlines were getting massacred. I think a lot of people are expecting them to probably, lower their guidance, stuff of that nature. But I figured, you know what, let me go through and see what we're seeing on this name, and if we could potentially get a good low risk entry. So what I'm seeing so far is that we actually came down and we bottomed for a primary wave 4. So since the COVID lows, we've had a 1, 2, 3, and then we've pulled back for our 4. Um, so we've caught our wave 4 bottom, which we've actually caught it on this uptrend line. And now this pink downtrend line was the downtrend coming off of all-time highs for American Airlines. So clearly we've broken above it and we've been able to get back above it again. So the levels that I've drawn and what I'm seeing is that we've pulled off an ABC correction to bottom for wave 4 right on this trend line. We've popped up for a 1 and we're in the process of pulling back for a 2. So either we've already found bottom for our 2 right here and we're popping up for 1, pulling back for a 2. But I think more likely what's going to happen is we're going to flush again early next week, taking us down to like this low 19 range. This low 19 range, I think that's going to be our wave 2 bottom, and that's why I've drawn this pink circle there. That's going to be right on the cusp of this downtrend line. So now that we're above it, it's going to be support and this uptrend line. If we can get into American Airlines somewhere in this range and then just use our stop loss beneath these trend lines, that's a very low risk play, because if you break beneath the trend lines, you get out and you're not going to have much of a loss, right? Because maybe $1 a share or so, and even 50 cents a share, you're going to be out. While the upside from here is all the way up to 25 a share. And if we do rip from these levels, I would think that we could get all the way up to that 25 a share sometime maybe October, November. Maybe even earlier than that. It all depends if the airlines can catch some fire here. So overall, not a horrible chart to be looking at, especially if you can get in right around this trend line. So I would definitely put this on your watch list for next week, and if we continue to get some more flushes, maybe draw these trend lines on your chart and then see if you can't get entry right at that point. But with this, because of how risky it is due to the COVID variant, I would definitely use a very tight stop loss, and I would not make an entry unless I was somewhere in this low 19 range or right on one of these trend lines. And then I would be very smart about my stop loss. Um, and I would probably put it just below the trend line. So on a trend line break, I get out. All right, guys, if you like these videos, go ahead, hit a like and subscribe.